Okay.
Let's do it.
It's that time.
Do you know how to do it?
It's that time. Well, yes, I do. But
there we go.
Hi.
Hey, everyone.
Hey, everybody.
Welcome to Wit and Reason with
Alex
and Dr. Alexis. We are continuing our new series, Therapy or Trash.
Therapy or Trash. Or Trash.
Except for this week, we are diving into a new trend.
Viral trend. It's a new viral trend. It's happening all over.
I know. I was wondering, is there, if it's a trend, then it must be viral. Otherwise, it'd just be whatever.
No.
And nothing would be happening.
No. Viral trend. I like the distinction.
What I was going to say was that, well, scoot in more. Yeah. See, if I have to fix your framing, then I drop everything. Let me get.
You didn't have to do any of that. Let's do it.
Scoot in. Scoot. There you go. We got to make this look professional. Okay?
You can't break the fourth wall if you do that
framing,
every time.
You gotta have equal sides here,
no,
and then equal sides.
No, nobody notices. Nobody knows things. Nobody notices.
There we go.
You don't know.
Producers notice. Freddie, if he's watching, notices and appreciates the adjustment I just made.
For Freddie, but not for you. All right. Thanks.
So today we're focusing in on what's currently a TikTok viral trend. I don't know if it's made it to the other social media apps.
Yeah.
You tend to find that TikTok gets it started.
Yeah.
And then maybe a couple of months, 2 to 3 months later, you'll see it show up on Instagram.
I don't know if it's that
trending.
Slow. I don't know if it's that.
Yeah.
Really?
Ask the TikTokers. They know what's up.
Okay. Sure.
They are the trend setters.
I will not pretend to know social media.
It's okay if you don't know social media and or if you don't know TikTok. We're going to break it all down for you, including what is a viral trend. And in this one in particular, it's called Man of the Year.
Yeah.
Which sounds lovely.
It does.
But it is not.
It is not lovely.
Disclaimer warning, if you didn't get it from the title of today's episode.
Trigger warning here. So this episode we'll be talking about abusive content and abusive language, because Man of the Year or Woman of the Year is not an accurate title.
It's more like sarcasm.
Yeah.
And so what's happening, and we have some creators who are breaking it down for you. So what happens with a trend, boomers and geriatric millennials, is that someone will start something and then other people will kind of replicate that same theme using the exact same music and usually the same kind of opener or formatting or framing.
Yeah.
From the previous people, but they'll just share their personal take on it or their personal experience. And so in this case, the Man of the Year, you're going to hear this song, this intro song throughout almost all of the videos we're showing you today. And it usually starts off with a really cute picture of the creator. And then it will cut to an experience, a horrific, I'll go ahead and say horrific experience that they're having with their partner. I don't even like to use that term under these circumstances, with the person that they're dating, the person that they're in an intimate relationship with.
Hopefully at the time and no longer. Hopefully this is something in which they are no longer having to process or deal with. Yes. We're going to say that.
And so Cozy Sweater Day, because I went through a lot of videos to pick out the right ones for you all. I am not showing most of the popular ones because they are that horrific and triggering.
And explicit.
Yes. Both on the Men of the Year, there's a lot of examples of people showing it. It's like a video, but they don't really show their partner. You just hear the audio of them, or they'll show play an audio clip of a voicemail of their boyfriend. These are all cisgender, what appears to be cisgender heterosexual relationships. So yeah, and they will show that example of that person doing something that is highly abusive, if not criminal, which is why we're not playing it for you all here. We will have some examples. If you don't have access to TikTok, we'll have some of those examples available via link through our YouTube channel, youtube.com @Wit Reason, and on our website show page, witandreason.com/DC Radio.
And if you really are that desirous to watch something thereof, you'll find it. That's fine.
And we'll talk about like why anyone would want to see this type of content, why it's trending, why it's viral right now. We'll get into that a bit too.
I mean, there's a lot of reasons why. So yeah.
And the psychology around it, and whether or not this is therapeutic and helpful and healthy, or whether this trend is problematic and trash.
Yeah, to call it trash is a bit. It's problematic, but it's also like toxic. Maybe toxic. Maybe toxic.
Yeah,
toxic.
Problematic.
So that's toxic waste would be the equivalent of really horrible trash. So toxic. Yeah,
yes.
There we go.
Yes, and you really haven't seen any of these videos. Yeah.
I've only heard about them from Alexis, but
I'm still recovering.
To be fair, this is also one of my areas of expertise. We've both done a ton of research in relationships. Mine is specifically, my thesis is on intimate partner violence and witnessing violence and what that does to youth in homes. So I ended up talking a lot about violence for many years, and still do a lot of work in violence. So
you started your career or training as a counselor with domestic violence survivors.
Yeah.
Right.
It was a women's group, and my mentor, who is the most talented, amazing therapist. That's the boss therapist. If everyone talks about the therapist who sees the therapist, that's it. You go to the boss. That's the boss therapist. And she was amazing, and I love her dearly. And I credit a lot to my success as a therapist to her brilliance. Yeah, it was a women's group, and I was a man in the group. She wanted to see what would happen. I sat.
She wanted to see what would happen.
She knew what would happen. She just needed to normalize that abuse was not just about men. Abuse was about dynamics. Mm-hmm. And she made that happen by putting me in the group, this fledgling therapist who's just starting grad school. And
how old were you?
19?
19?
No. I couldn't have been that. Because we had started working before that. So 21. I was 21.
Okay.
I was 21.
What was that like for you, being the only man in a woman's only domestic violence survivors therapy group?
Terrifying. Terrifying is a great word for that. I sat silently for 6 months. Sometimes they'd ask me direct questions, and I'd give very short, direct answers. And that was about it, because I did not earn my place in that space. And eventually I did, and I felt comfortable enough to talk. And then I didn't leave the room for like 6 years. So that was cool. I did that for 6 years after. Like after the first night, I was hooked.
Yeah.
And I knew I wanted to be a therapist, and that's what I want to do with my life. So I love it. I love that work. I love what healing looks like. Mm-hmm. So if you've endured some form of these types of contents, I'm guessing we're going to dig into, there is healing to be done.
Yeah. And
there are patterns to break for yourself, because it's not your fault that they're there. And we'll talk about it.
What part of it was terrifying to you? Like what about that was terrifying?
Number one, kind of being representative of men in general felt weird, because I thought of myself as like being the only man in the room. Like I represented men, mm-hmm. Then realized that I didn't, and didn't have to. And then the other part was.
So you thought that they were going to like project.
So some of it was projection, but just also some of the pressure and around having the right response.
Yeah.
And I realized that like healthy was the response. And if I responded in a healthy way, I didn't have to respond I responded as a cisgender heterosexual male, but like I didn't have to represent all of that. I just had
that is a lot of pressure.
Yeah, I just have to represent healthy.
I mean, it's
which is much easier than you'd think, but it just had to be healthy.
Yeah. And when we talk about stress, we like to explain that not all stress is bad stress. It sounds like this was somewhat of a stressful experience for you, because you were experiencing that pressure of like getting it just right and not fucking up or saying the wrong thing or accidentally offending anybody, and wanting to continue the therapeutic process.
I mean, if anybody knows me, like I'm kind of when it comes, I'm like, my mentor was always, I think of her as like a sniper of words. She'd say one word and there you are crying in a puddle. But
That's a good soundbite.
Me, I'm more of a shotgun, and so it's a lot of words and a lot of things because I have a lot of thoughts. And and those of
I'd
who know
rather
me,
let's change that to like throwing spaghetti on the wall
yeah,
and see which
so
one sticks.
well, but like it's more strategic than that. It's a little more strategic than spaghetti, but yes. But the
You
idea
pick
is
the noodles.
Thanks. I love the noodles.
And you cook it just the right temperature, so
Yeah.
that way
But
it's likely to stick.
I use words a lot, and I have a lot going on in my brain, and I am honest in representing that.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things was it made me stop, and I had to stop all of that and think a lot more before I was speaking.
Yeah.
Now I still think, it's just I use that layer or that buffer, although you may not realize it. It's really curated. I swear, there's more thought and language here. It could be way worse.
It could be more verbose.
It could be, all right, more verbose. Thank you. It could be a lot more. Lots. But yeah.
Same. Why are we trying to get into an industry where concise sound bites matter? Stupid.
Because you need to listen to me longer than just a bite.
Sure.
Yes. I'm a meal. All right.
And then the fun fact about our relationship, same reason why I went into psychology, because I was initially studying journalism, and it was just a sociology requirement that we had to volunteer, and the only thing that was available and looked interesting to me, where you get to have like direct impact versus like shoving in, envelopes with mailers, or doing admin work for a nonprofit. The community service I chose for my sociology requirement was working at Rainbow Services in San Pedro, California.
Oh, Rainbow Services.
And they provide shelter and therapy and daycare for the kiddos. And then services, for the moms, survivors of domestic violence.
I gotta be honest, I don't know if they're still around, but they were amazing. And
So
if you are still around, I love you. You're wonderful. Keep up the good work. And if you're not, I still loved you for what you did.
He knows like of the small organization that I work with, a small and like random organization that I volunteered for. And in California, if you're going to volunteer with that population, you have to have 48 hours of training. I like remember the number in my head. I was like, damn, I have to do this extra training just to be able to volunteer for this requirement for my sociology class. Not even a psych major at this point. And then I learned a lot about domestic violence that I was really sheltered away from and didn't have any idea about. And as soon as I learned more and got to hang out with the women, mostly the kids, I kind of kept them busy while their mom were in group therapy, full circle. And I was like, I want to do more than just raise awareness about human rights, social justice issues via journalism. I want to have a better understanding of what it takes to intervene and prevent.
Yeah.
And or,
change. Yeah.
Change this process. And then that's what got me to go all the way into psychology and double major. And so that passion on serving people who've experienced intimate partner violence is what brought us both into mental health. And so, interesting enough, we are now talking about it via a TikTok trend.
Yes.
Which, like, even adolescent me, who always wanted to advocate for providing more education and awareness, would just be in awe of social media. We didn't have it back then in my day.
Don't you?
And not just that, but how open and vulnerable and honest people are being and sharing of themselves and their traumas and their hardships online for everyone to see and to judge and to contribute to.
Yeah.
I would have never guessed anything like this would have been a thing back in my early 20s.
Really?
Yeah. That there would be a trend like this. So let's go ahead and dive into it. I'm going to share a first creator is going to be someone who's kind of like explaining what's going on here. He does some interesting voice effects. So hopefully it makes sense to everyone. Let me go ahead and get him started. I know. And here we go. Yeah, I saw that one. Yeah, so I got chills even just watching him and listening to him describe what is happening here. Let me go ahead and go back over here. And so you get an idea of what kind of content is out there that people
Yeah.
are sharing.
Yeah. I like that these are hidden people getting caught like with a hidden recording.
Yeah.
I feel like that's pretty awesome.
And so for those of you who are watching us live or on demand via YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, you'll be able to see the videos if you're listening to us via podcast or through our DC radio broadcast. I'll try to do as good of a job of explaining the visual details, but you can also have access to these videos again on our YouTube channel, youtube.com @Wit and Reason, or through our website, witandreason.com/DC radio. And so what tends to happen is that people aren't even though, I mean, some people might say like they're putting them, the perpetrators or the accused perpetrators like on blast. They're not even showing their faces or like saying their names. It's typically like you kind of see the phone is like the camera is angled down. So you could see like the environment that they're in, but you could mostly just hear the audio of what that person is saying. So it started off as Man of the Year, and there's a bunch of horrific stories shared via that trend. But then, of course, the men wanted to get involved and say like, hey, it's not just men who are horrific. Women could be horrific in cisgender heterosexual relationships too. And so then they launched Woman of the Year. So I'm going to show you medium intensity ones from Man of the Year and one from Woman of the Year.
Okay, go for it.
All right.
I want to see this. Let's get into it.
We're into it, babes. We're doing this. So here's one from Man of the Year.
Okay.
And so first you have the full shot of the creator.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm glad that she's catching him on that bullshit control what you're gonna wear nonsense. We all hopefully at this point we all know that's on the abusive side of the spectrum of what is a relationship, from healthy, unhealthy to abusive, that control aspect of what someone's gonna wear.
You can have a conversation where you have an opinion about what somebody wears, but you still do
what
not
would that
dictate.
even be like?
It'd be like, hey, what you're wearing, is there a particular thing? I have some feelings about it. It seems really revealing. I don't know if I feel like it's appropriate, but how do you feel in it? And
I can't even imagine us having that relationship.
I know, but it's like, exactly. But I'm like, but if you
I'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, like you
Get
could
your head out of your ass.
Yeah, no, I'd be like, you look hot, sweet.
Yeah,
that's because I trust you and love you. I don't care about other people.
Yeah.
Which that's why we wouldn't have that. But that's why we don't need to have that conversation. But if you did,
you'd
be like, hey, I feel uncomfortable with this thing. How do you feel about what you're wearing? What do you think about it? And then you talk about that thing, and then
the only times we're talking about what anyone's wearing is me telling you to like to wear shorter shorts or to be more on trend, to be more trendy, and to wear clean white sneakers. to put you on blast here.
My,
But you, and then
I got
and then you don't tell me anything about what I wear because that's the way it should be.
Sure, but also like, oh well,
I'll ask you like, oh, what do you think about this outfit? Or like, I'm in a fashion slump. Can you help me?
Yeah, or like which colors go better together versus this, or which jewelry to pair
Or we'll
with
like get complimenting colors. Like that's the only time when we're talking about each other's
clothing. It's supportive. It's not breaking anything out. But yeah,
yeah, I'm not trying to like control you.
So there's that part, but then there's the other part. The other part, which was, and then he's like cheating, and he's like, he says something really here that I find very funny. Well, if you don't let me live that down, what does living that down look like? Does living that down it sounds like that means, oh, don't bring this up anymore. That's water under the bridge. We're not allowed to talk about that. Or it means that we should just break up. You've earned the badge to say, like Sharon, you're a cheater. Done.
Yep.
That's it. She can say it as long as she wants. It doesn't mean she's not living. It's you that has to live through that. Like she's just holding you accountable.
It's part of the process.
That's also part of atonement, which is part of the process in healing from infidelity. Just throwing that out there for
Alex does a lot of that work.
So. I do a lot of couples work.
So. It's fresh on your mind
all the time.
The word that got me, I got the live it down nonsense, but then also this fool is trying to take our therapeutic B word and
boundaries.
Fucking use it against her.
Oh, boundary. That was bad.
Yeah. There's so many levels of wrong here. But when people take psychological, healthy mental health concepts and try to manipulate it and use it against targets of violence or aggression,
I don't think it means what you think it means.
This fool doesn't even fucking know what he's talking about.
Inconceivable.
He's
like, for any Princess Bride fans out there.
We have boundaries, and so my boundary is to tell you to, wear a turtleneck and baggy jeans.
Or just not wear what you're wearing now, and it makes me uncomfortable, and I feel like less of a man.
That's my boundary. That's not what boundaries are. We have whole. Go to our feed. We have whole shows just on boundaries because everyone gets it wrong, and they use it to try to fucking control people. Idiots.
Yeah. Idiots.
So
get some therapy, idiots.
That's trash.
Sorry, trash. Well, he's trash.
Yeah,
she seems great. I like
I love her. She's like, no, we're not doing this. You're not going to tell me. I bet you she took one of my intimate partner prevention classes and learned from school. Because where else are you going to get it?
Yeah, right.
Ideally, your families, but if they don't know and they got their own shit going on, then. But she probably learned somewhere along the way. She's like, no, this is a red flag for abuse. I am not fucking doing this.
And then we should break up then.
Right?
Yeah.
Then we should just break up.
Yeah.
You'll notice if you're watching us live or maybe on demand, in our chats for YouTube and Facebook, I was able to put a resource as we're going through all of this. One of my favorites, actually my dissertation was done. It was an experimental design. Don't ever do that. It takes forever. On one of their intimate partner violence prevention programs for college students. You could look at that if you want, but they also have a great resource. It's called loveisrespect.org. They even have like a safety pop-up that comes up when you first open it. They have a phone number for you to call if you or someone you know you're concerned about their relationship.
And on the front, it says, want to know about setting boundaries. They'll tell you how to set actual boundaries.
So, see, perfect. It's a sign. Their first,
because
blog is about boundaries.
Because I don't think it means what they
So just in case you don't have access to the website right now, so it's loveisrespect.org, easy to remember. And then the phone number is 1-866-331-9474. There's also when you website, there's a chat live option, and then you could text all caps. I don't think it matters. Love is LOVEIS to the number 22522.
So text love is one word to 22522.
And so this is a great resource, particularly for teens, college age.
If you're just wondering whether or not your relationship is not healthy, just go for it.
Good education as well. Yeah, really like, so they have like dating, healthy relationships. They have a whole spectrum visual aid. So
Well,
that's a good resource to consider. And then there's also the hotline.org. So that's for domestic violence support from the National Domestic Violence Hotline as well. Don't rush me through this. This is important.
I know it's important.
So you're just going to have to wait even longer.
No,
the phone number is 800-799-SAFE, which is 7233.
Yeah. I'm like, this is a lot of, if you're listening, look it up and that'll be helpful and we'll find it. Or you could go to our website to find the rest.
And if you're just joining us now and want another number to text START to 88788.
Regarding intimate partner violence.
Yes. And we'll also have all this information on our on-demand YouTube video and on our episode webpage as well. All right. Next one.
Okay.
So that was Man of the Year. Again, that was like the low moderate because it gets a lot more intense than that. Let's take a look at an example that I was able to find of Woman of the Year with the guys trying to show like how their experience with an unhealthy relationship. Here we go.
Okay.
So let's go ahead and like minimize all of his experiences and just tell him to grow up and to deal.
Yes.
What would you call that? Thoughts?
Racist?
Well, yeah, there's some racism.
Just racist?
Yeah.
Just call it racist.
Yes. And then
just call it racist.
So she has a racist grandma. This guy, we can't see their faces. We only see like what looks like the interior of the car where they're having this conversation, the roof and a bit of his profile. So he's some kind of person of color, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Trying to go visit grandma. And then her stance is like, I'm not going to introduce you as my boyfriend.
Yeah. Because
grandma's racist. Let her die in peace. AKA not knowing that I'm dating a person of color. And so that's his example of Woman of the Year.
Like, I mean, so if you have a racist relative that you do not want to deal with that process with, I do understand that. So then don't ever go there with that person or take them with you, because keep that separate then entirely if you wanted to, because they should not be subject to the racism, which would be fair. So like, I could see you not, like if my family are racist, I can't say it. They're not racist. So my family, sorry.
Thank goodness.
Yeah. So sorry. But if they came over and like if they're racist,
my grandfather was racist.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't expose anyone of any background to my grandfather. I was like, why are we even hanging out with this dude? I didn't even want to hang out with this dude. I try to limit my interactions with him as much as possible. There's definitely no way I'm gonna like expose anybody else to this dude. Like, what's the point? We correct him.
And if you still have like love and care for a really toxically racist human, okay, fine. I guess that's your choice. But like, also then you don't then bring somebody around to subject them to your weird games.
And not only that, but then talk down to him.
Yeah.
You know, talk down to this dude and minimize and dismiss.
Get over it. Yeah. What was the thing? What was it?
I didn't get to write it down because it's happening all so fast. Okay. Grow up.
Oh, grow up.
AKA calling him a child. It's like, and then we almost kind of got some name calling in there, and all that's
nope, not good.
Toxic.
Just don't be racist. How about that?
Right.
And let her die in peace. Yeah, like let her die at the moment you tell her, I'm dating someone of color, and then she croaks. And that'd be great. Racism needs to die. Sorry.
No need to be sorry. No need to be sorry about that hot take. Is that your hot take for the day?
Is that a hot take? Racism is terrible?
Racism needs to die.
Therapist says racism's bad. Hot take.
Racism is surprisingly bad for you, your mental health, and your loved ones.
And anyone else touch it. Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so now that we had like just a couple of very like moderate examples, again, there's worse online. Now we're gonna get some hot takes from people who've been watching this trend, this viral trend. Get their summaries about what they've been exposed to. Okay.
I want to see this. I gotta see this. What do people have to say about this thing? Because I want to hear what people are internalizing from it too.
Right. Exactly.
Yes,
Mm-hmm. And colleagues. And neighbors and community leaders.
And them being a nice person and them also being an abusive person.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how often are you having deep conversations around these things? Like, how well do you know your friends when it comes to those things? And then even if you're talking about relationship advice, right? So as you're sitting around talking about relationships and they're laughing or chopping it up or doing something else, or you're having some weird toxically masculine communication around some garbage, how they actually say those things in real life may not actually be the way they're trying to say it to you.
Yeah.
So then
we know that happens in therapy.
They come back hot off of your conversation, having not just talked about how, like, be a man, do this thing or whatever thing. Mm-hmm. And then they lean in with every abusive, just horrific tactic ever. And that's how these things happen again, like over and over again too. Like, we enable this stuff by having these weird, screwed up conversations around relationships that you're not necessarily even qualified to have.
And you have to think, like, when the bros are hanging out together, they're kind of like this, this like character of a person.
Caricature?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to say avatar. Is that what they're called?
I mean, yeah, I get what you're saying.
You know, of who they think their friends want them to be. Yeah. Right. So they're like, even just to have the vulnerability within this dynamic of them being open and honest and sincere about like their anger issues or their violence or their rage.
They're only giving you tidbits of who they are. You're getting a piece of something. You're not getting the whole truth even.
Right.
You're getting, I mean, I like the use of avatar. Like, it's just metacognition, right? So like, they're only going to present what they think is worthy of the group's, acceptance to present. They're not going to be super honest about those things. And even if they were very honest,
especially if they're like these like insecure guys who are doing this kind of shit anyways.
But if they're even open or vulnerable about that, does that even mean that they're going to then internalize the response anyway healthy?
Right.
So like, it's not like, if you started to have these conversations and you're a healthy human and you wanted to take it to that next level to ensure that they're not doing harm, the next step is to go, hey, what would that sound like? And you have them rehearse the statement in which they're going to ask their significant other about the thing in which they're having conflict around.
Are you talking about the bros like role playing healthy dynamics and communication?
I want more bros role playing. Bros.
I in my dissertation, I got a bunch of like, the college groups. They don't though, so I'm going to tell them.
Yeah.
I trained the entire university football team on intimate partner violence prevention and how to actually treat people, whoever they're dating, with respect and dignity, taught them the conflict resolution skills. And then my pre-post, it made a difference. Mm-hmm. They learned.
They did,
and they were able to make some changes.
I remember scoring stuff.
Thanks for your help. It was a lot. It was good. A lot of numbers and coding.
A lot of people. Yeah,
yeah, thousands. All right, so let's. Oh, and then the other thing that this creator makes me think of is that just infuriates me about our legal system is why in the fuck do we even have character witnesses?
For what?
For gender-based violence,
There we go.
for sexual assault, for domestic violence,
You could have character witnesses for a lot of things.
for like theft, I guess.
So like,
But then
like,
it's
for
like,
example,
well,
like,
they never came to my house and stole anything.
example,
Of course not.
custody hearings. Custody hearings are really useful
Oh,
if
yeah,
there's
yeah,
not
yeah.
abuse involved for character. You know, these other things, these dynamics. So there's character witnesses that are really useful for something like that.
Yeah.
There are character witnesses
Like,
useful
I've observed
in a
this
lot of different
person
things.
in this setting being a good parent.
Mm-hmm. Or maybe there's some other type of
And their
dynamic.
kid tells me that they enjoy being, and you know, so they get to corroborate those stories. But a character witness is such bullshit in these circumstances because
you're qualifying whether or not this person is violent to somebody who they're not violent with. It just makes no sense.
That's not their target, you know. So of course they're gonna be chill with their. It doesn't matter how many other people they're chill with.
Yeah.
They're not on trial for being an asshole to everybody. They're on trial for being an asshole to this particular person.
Yeah. So no, you're right. You're right. 1,000%.
And this other creator caught this as well.
All right. Let's see it.
Stitch incoming. Mm-hmm.
Mm. That's
Yeah. Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. This person's great. We'll have links and information on all the creators that are sharing their
there's
words.
a message around I can't hear the people.
Well, that's not good.
That's probably because it's not in the same. That's why it's going to be part of the same window.
So can't hear it at all.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that will be some editing for the future.
Absolutely.
That's why this is pre-recorded for a DC radio show. I will go back and I will add the videos
and the audios.
So stay tuned for the edited version of this show. The YouTube's gonna suck because it's not gonna catch any of that.
Okay.
Oh.
Move this window.
Yeah.
Into that other thing.
Okay. So let me go ahead and play this next one. So this is another summary of someone who's experienced the who's been experiencing this trend.
Mm-hmm.
But good looking out, Freddie. Appreciate you. And then summary one.
This man of the year trend reminds me of the several times where like I've met a dude, like I'm like, oh yeah, that's my bro, like I love him, bro, like he's so cool. Come to find out, oh yeah, he like essayed a girl, like oh yeah, he like slashed my tires, oh yeah, he like cheated on me several times. Guys around guys, like you will just not know. You will not know this person is like secretly like a psychopath. This person's insane because you're not fucking like your homies. I mean, probably. That brings out a different side of people, a completely different side, and like, you know, you have dudes saying like, "Oh yeah, where are you finding these dudes? Like everywhere, walking out and about with us." You know, like
correlated.
Guys can really hide some like how like twisted they are. Meanwhile, like I feel like other people are a bit more like forthcoming. Like you can usually detect the crazy. No, some dudes will be normal for a year, and then something will trigger them, and they're acting insane.
And so that's the tricky thing. What we're advocating for here is everyone be more open with each other, check in with your friends, maybe check in with their partners.
Mm-hmm.
If they feel safe enough to be open with you, to tell you about what's really going on behind closed doors.
Mm-hmm. It's scary.
Yeah.
It's scary that, like, people think that, again, like, people always go, like, even the last person was saying, like, the year, like, oh, they could go, a year goes by before, or the other person's like, where do you find these people, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Like, what, maybe it's your problem. The problem is that nobody walks up and says, hey, I'm an asshole, let's get together. Like, hey, I'm gonna hurt you. Oh, let's get together. That sounds great, right? You signing up for that? That sounds great. I'm gonna break your arm. This is gonna be awesome. Like, a year down the road, breaking your arm. Totally. Like, they don't do that off the cuff. So
they
who
ease
makes
you
this
into it. There's a whole domestic violence cycle.
So when you say things like, are you picking these people? They're picking the person that they're presenting, and you hope that person is honest. And that's what you hope. Now, are there red flags all over the place? Sure. But most people don't know where to look for those things anyway. And everyone says in every serial killer documentary, oh, they were just such a quiet, nice neighbor. They were a serial killer. They ate people. Like, they killed children. I don't know what it does. It doesn't matter.
And can I tell you, and the extra layer of this is that in many cases, the target of abuse wants to help preserve this persona that everyone sees.
Yeah.
They feel that if they disclose how that person really is, will cause hardship for the family, for the friends, for the community, for I mean, even this stuff, you see this stuff in religious institutions as well, you know, like or in academia, you know, like or at work, you know. And so there's even this extra level of, like, guilt and shame for unmasking who this person really is.
Well, and then there's the guilt and shame involved in also being with somebody who is abusive.
Yeah.
So then, like, the other guy with the baseball cap was saying, like, oh, like, you must pick them, like, that's your fault type of thing. That, what are you doing? No, like, that's why people don't talk about this stuff enough, because assholes like you are blaming them for somebody else's horrifically abusive behavior. Like, that doesn't make sense. Do you blame? I know. No, I can go down a rabbit hole. I don't even want to go there. So yeah, we got another one.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Let's do this.
You expect me to do it so quickly?
Yes.
That's a fucking buttons
so fast
to play here.
So fast.
Fill in the dead air. Jeez.
Do it.
Let me tell you, if I was a single heterosexual woman seeing all these man of the year trends, I would never want to be in a fucking relationship. Ever. And the fact that it's a trend is what's fucking wild. There are hundreds of these videos with crazy ass abusive motherfuckers, dudes. If you hate your woman, just leave her. I really don't get it. Like, some of you motherfuckers be saying some vile ass shit to your woman, and I know motherfuckers are gonna get in here, well, you don't know the full story. The story doesn't fucking matter, bro. Some of the shit you motherfuckers are saying, it's like you wanted a servant and not a partner. We're just seeing one event, right, in this man of the year trend. We're just seeing one event. If they did it once, they was doing that shit for a minute. Hopefully most of you motherfuckers are out of those relationships by now. Good God, if I was a woman and single and heterosexual, whew, either I stay single, I might just go gay. Shit.
So close to a perfect post. That's not the way sexual orientation works.
But also it happens in every version of relationships.
Yes.
Just to be very clear.
That's an interesting thing.
It is correlated to the
about
population.
This trend is that, from what I've seen, I don't know if maybe it's just what the algorithm showed me, but I, like, searched, you know, for, like, this hashtag, and all I'm seeing are the heterosexual relationships. But we do know that unhealthy patterns all the way to abuse happens across the sexual orientation spectrum. And
every gender,
every
all of the genders,
every religion, every ethnicity, every socioeconomic class.
Yep.
everywhere.
One of my favorite findings is people who have larger homes had also a likelihood of violence, being a lack of discovery of the violence, because there's a bigger home and nobody knew what was going on.
The neighbors can't hear you.
So
versus
nobody
like
could
an
hear
apartment
it,
building or something.
or other people even within the family didn't know that was going on because it was a big enough home to do that. Thanks, Ellen. She's the one who told me that forever ago.
Yeah.
But that was part of her original study, which is what inspired my work.
Yeah.
But
so not necessarily that it happens more or less, but just that like when it happens,
it doesn't. Nobody finds out.
Yeah.
So it's even more secretive.
And then you might even have more resources to kind of like hide things
Cover
and
it.
get treatment and
see
fix
lots of
broken
horrible
bones
things.
And, yeah. So so what this person was saying was what I wrote down. That if you hate someone, so this person's coming from the perspective that like this perpetrator just hates their girlfriend, and so they should just leave.
You know what?
But we know that that's not really.
Well, I know, but I know what they were saying. Like,
Yeah.
if you're gonna say hateful things, and I'm gonna say like, if they replace it with, if you're gonna say hateful things to somebody that you apparently love, if you say horrible, terrible things to another human like that, why are you with them? And so you need to also stop. I know that's about their power and control. I know you did a power and control. I mean, power and this is my favorite 2 words when it comes to relationships. They are so valuable to understand. Power and control in relationships is a lot of dynamics. Every dynamics.
Garbage. Get it out of here.
And it's rough.
We don't want power and control in our relationships.
Well, and understanding what your version, because even if...
And it could come out a bunch of different ways.
Yeah, exactly. But even in our relationship, right, there's power and control just naturally between 2 humans. How do we then navigate power and control? Like, I'm not trying to then control you. So anytime that I see that I'm encroaching on that control and you then say, hey, look, that affects me. I go, oh, okay, here, now I understand that. And you have the power enough to say this thing. And I then, I understand that power, and I then have the power to also make changes.
That's true.
Like, power and control doesn't necessarily mean horribly toxic.
How it manifests in your relationship.
Yes.
Power and control. But in that same breath, you're saying, but we are actively working on navigating it, diminishing it,
active process,
squashing it,
communicating and engaging,
getting that shit out of our relationship. Because this is not helpful or useful in any kind of way. Right. So yeah, if it really was just about hate, then it might be, you might have a different, scenario play out, but it's not. This person wants that target in their life to continue exerting their power and control over them for a whole bunch of fucked up reasons.
Sure.
I'm gonna have to take out a lot of profanity from
well, that last clip alone, you're gonna have to take out every other word.
Whew, okay. So we do want to leave you on a positive note. So since there's like hundreds of these negative, sarcastic videos of man of the hour and woman of the hour, some people, I saw a light sprinkle of people actually showing their man of the hour
or man of the year.
Yeah, or sorry, I dropped them down to an hour.
You get an hour. That's all you get. That's it.
Keep it up. We'll see how you do the next hour.
I do not need a year. It's okay.
You get like infinities.
Yeah, I know.
Multiple. And across timelines and existences.
I feel like man of the year implies I did one thing in a year. And then,
right?
Yeah, I know. All right, anyway.
No, it's like what you did within that year was good.
Yeah. Okay, great. I know.
There was another one that I really liked, but I wasn't able to download it. It was really cute. Yeah. And so hopefully this one, the audio is a little tough, but hopefully you all can hear his sweet words as best as possible.
Okay.
And so you keep on talking until I hit play.
Okay. I like the positive take on it.
All right, here we go. I was nervous. How do you think I look? You look better? The way he looks at her.
And he actually looks at her, though.
Yeah,
that's the important
but it
part
wasn't like he was looking at her like judgingly, like with a critical eye. He was looking her up and down, just completely in awe.
Yeah,
of
it was
her.
sweet.
And she's like, "How do I look?" And he's like, "Phenomenal." I love that.
And it seemed genuine and it seemed honest.
Yes.
And it seems like, again, heartfelt because, again, took the moment. He didn't stop. He stopped messing around with the camera to like make the connection.
He was focused on trying to set something up technical, and he even like stopped that and tended to her.
Those moments are really invaluable. In those moments between two people,
bid.
That is a bid. Yes, thank you, John and Julie Gottman. If you don't know who they are, Gottman's wonderful work on couples, marriage therapy, and relational therapy. It's called a bid. But one of the things about those bids is you're in the middle of something. You're doing some sort of task.
Mm-hmm.
There's then some sort of bid or ask. To stop in the middle of that, of whatever you're doing, isn't always easy.
Especially if you have ADHD or neurodivergent.
Yeah, I have trouble with this one too. Alexis will ask me a question. I'll be doing something like, I can't.
Me too.
And I don't give her the attention she deserves for that moment because really this thing is absorbing up more time than it actually needs to.
But as someone who's neurodivergent as well, I get it.
Yeah.
And I'll even ask like, can you talk right now?
Well, but the stop, the moment that I'm engaging is actually really important and connects us more.
Mm-hmm.
And the more you build your relationship on connection, the more you take on those bids and you stack those bids, you have something there to hold on to all the time. The unfortunate thing about like relationships is that they're built on very flimsy foundation.
Mm-hmm.
It's about love and emotion. Love and emotions are really tough to like hold on to constantly.
And they come and go.
And then we rely on things like trust and commitment. That doesn't work because if you rely only on trust and commitment, that only gets you so far.
Mm-hmm. And then that could play out in so many different ways.
Exactly. So
like, oh, you forgot to get me what I asked for from the grocery store. I can't trust you and you're not committed to me.
Yeah. So maintain the connection by engaging in those bids and stop what the hell you're doing because you're not going to remember that.
Savor those moments with your partner when they're seeking your attention.
Or engagement or whatever else.
Or focus.
And
go with the flow with your partner.
And that's hard. Again, that's hard. Yeah. That is a very easy thing to say.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is easier said than done. But like everything is easier said than done. That's just how that works.
So I wanted to talk about like just the fact that this is a viral trend right now, currently on TikTok, likely gonna make it to Instagram. I don't know if it's ever gonna make it to Facebook. But that there's hundreds of videos of people sharing, openly and authentically sharing, assuming, I'd hope no one would be fucking psychopath enough to make this shit up, of their real lived experiences facing an abusive dynamic or person.
Yeah.
And so I have my thoughts about the fact that this is even a trend and how once I hit that video, my algorithm got fed even more and more and more.
So I have a couple of thoughts on this. All right. So my immediate thought is these things need to be talked about all the time and exposed in a certain way, but how people are taking it, which is like, oh, where are you finding these men? Or, oh, where,
you're going to get that pushback.
Oh, what did you do to deserve this? Or, oh, we need to jump in as men to talk about how women are terrible and compare things like cheating to like their violent behaviors, which cheating and violence are not the same thing. One is literally a legal issue and the other is just that's
criminal behavior.
Yeah, one's criminal behavior.
Criminal acts, and then the other is bad decisions.
It's bad decisions and it's not good.
It's unhealthy. We're not like condoning
I'm not condoning that, but like if you're gonna say okay.
So the men were like, well, women are shitty too. So they tried making their videos and all their videos were about like were sexually explicit and being cheated on by their girlfriends.
Yeah.
Whereas all of the women's content about the men in their lives was about violence and threats and
control
and aggression and
power dynamics. Yeah.
Really dangerous content. And experiences.
So I love that this is being talked about.
Yeah, me too.
I want to make sure that you're getting the right narrative or pull the right thing from it, which is that violence is everywhere. That it does. You will not see it coming from everybody. So then believe the people that are telling you those things. People are not crazy. The people don't have crazy exes. Like, okay, sure, there are times in which people have a crazy ex or whatever else, but a lot of times those are.
And I want to hear that whole story.
A lot of the times those are other behaviors. What do you
mean by crazy, and how did that happen? And
so instead of having a comment, show up with some support. Like, hey, have you talked to somebody about this?
Mm-hmm.
Have you gone and have you heard about this program? Have you, how did you deal? Are you still in this relationship, or how did you get out of this relationship? Or, how do you want to share how you got out of that relationship or when you made that choice?
Yeah.
Maybe follow up if you're one of the creators who is already doing something really brave by taking this thing on. If you want to add that layer and being like, I knew when to get out when, or so when I left. This was it. When I left my man of the year.
Right.
Like, when did you leave,
Yeah.
and what made you leave, or what did you do to like make sure that you were safe?
Yeah.
And what was, if there was a catalyst there, what was that?
If you're open, I mean, that's asking a lot of people.
No.
Yeah.
Way above me on that is a huge ask. But
Yeah.
I'd love this to shape into something meaningful, to shine light on the fact that violence is in every type of relationship, and from young folk to old folk, it doesn't matter. This cycle happens. It could happen in an hour. Like the whole cycle of violence could happen in an hour. It could happen over 20 years. Yeah. Okay, so it doesn't matter. It could happen with one instance in the relationship, or it could happen with multiple. But it doesn't mean that violence doesn't exist there. Yeah. So that's something to talk up. We need to talk up this thing a lot.
And one of my concerns, especially once the algorithm picked up on the fact that I was like saving these videos and that I was intrigued, was all the negative filtering.
Yeah.
And I only saw that positive one because I was researching the topic at that point. And so I also want us to make sure that we're having this very realistic understanding of relationships. And that even if we do see hundreds of videos that are about worst case scenarios, horrific experiences, that healthy, loving, supportive relationships exist and are possible.
They're out there
for everyone. Yeah. I just hope that people don't see this and kind of use that as an extra support to this narrative, to this like gender-based stereotype, to this narrative that like, okay, all men are bad. Fuck them. I'm not gonna.
Or all women cheat.
Or all women cheat. Those generalizations aren't helpful
Those are
for
all
anyone.
garbage. Just stop.
These people in particular that we're watching or listening to, are abusive. Yeah. And so let's continue to engage with one another, to find our people, to pay attention to beige, and then all the way up to red flags.
Yep. And send them
the
to
green
therapy.
ones, and then also pay attention to the green ones.
Send them to therapy.
And if you have friends or family that you see that aggression, whether they're sober, high, drunk, whatever the circumstances, help them get support.
Yep. There's a lot of stuff out there.
Just like you would for anything else.
There's a lot of stuff out there. So we already covered a lot of the links that you'll see, a lot of different organizations that are great.
So again, that is...
Yep. That's what I want to bring up.
thehotline.org and loveisrespect.org. So lots of education for you, lots of hotlines and resources and groups. So
there's always us. Feel free to.
Oh yes, reach out to us.
we are Wit and Reason.
We could hook you up with some information as well. So definitely keep tabs with us on all social media.
Yeah.
Follow, subscribe, like, share this information. And then as you're out there scrolling or reading, send us what you find out there. Even if you're like, oh, this is awesome, I want them to feature this, this take. Or if you're like, oh, this is questionable. Or if you're like, oh man, this is shitty, I want them to tear it apart. Yes. We will be happy to do that for you. So send it our way, DM us.
Yeah, we'll weigh in, we'll tell you whether it's therapy or
trash. Yes. Until next time.
That's great.
Tuesday, that's 6 p.m. Pacific and 9 p.m. East Coast. We will see you here on live on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. You can watch this show on demand with some audio issues right now on YouTube.
Just a couple videos, we'll fix it.
But within the week, I'll have something updated. You can get our podcast and then visit witandreason.com/DC radio to access our radio broadcast too. Yeah. Once it's nice and edited and all put together.
And we have a new time.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we're gonna start announcing that.
7 a.m. East Coast.
7 to 8? Or
7. So we're moving from the 11 o'clock hour because we're doing half hour and now we can't stop talking. So we're doing a full hour now, 7 to 8 a.m. East Coast.
Yep.
Well,
Right on time for your
everyone's
commute.
yeah, right on time for the commute. So see you all then. Let me put up a fun design here. Let me put this picture up.
Okay.
All right.